Good morning, good evening, good night, whatever time of the day you're watching this, hello. I'm back with this week's video, and today I'm talking all about why my first marathon was a complete failure.
Oh, congratulations to ladies and gentlemen, 3 hours and 10 minutes.
So I ran my first ever marathon last year on the Gold Coast, and it was both amazing and terrible at the same time. I managed to cross the line in 3 hours, 8 minutes and 8 seconds for a debut, which is honestly not a bad time, but looking back at it now, I'm not happy with it at all, and here's why. There's so many aspects of a marathon which I was just simply uneducated about, like so many. I've narrowed it down to 5 reasons why my first marathon was a complete failure. But before we get into it, make sure you like this video and subscribe if you're new to the channel, and comment down below the biggest mistake that you've made on race day. Now let's get into it. So the first mistake that I made was fueling. Fueling wasn't something that I took seriously at all, and looking back now, I honestly have no idea how I finished the marathon. So my strategy going into the race was as follows. Wake up, have a coffee, have a banana, and then during the race, put 1 gel in my pocket, and that'll do me for the entire thing. Anyone who has run a marathon knows that not fueling properly is a recipe for disaster on race day. So this resulted in my body pretty much giving up on me around the 30K mark, cramping in every muscle in my legs, and ended up with full body fatigue. It's a general rule that for a marathon, you take a 30-gram carb gel every 45 to 60 minutes, depending on the person. The best way to get your fueling strategy down pat is to practice in training and do your best to simulate a race day situation. Number 2, salts and hydration. This is a big one. Electrolytes play a massive role in a marathon, which I now know very well. When running for 3 to 4 to 5 hours straight, you're gonna sweat a lot, which is gonna make your sodium levels drop dramatically. When this happens, you can bet that the cramps and fatigue will follow. This is one of the many reasons why I died in the ass after 30Ks, for lack of a better word. It's best to get your electrolytes in before the race, and you're gonna wanna top them up during, whether you carry your bottle with you on your hip, in your hand, or you organize for someone to hand you a bottle throughout the race. Number 3, wear the correct shoes. I feel really strongly about this one. I ran in the Nike Tempo Next Percents, and as you can guess from the name, they're obviously not called the Nike Marathon Next Percents. They're called Tempo, so they are more for speed sessions and tempo workouts, not really ideal for the marathon distance. While this shoe is definitely usable for the marathon distance, there are a million other shoes that you can choose to make your life a hell of a lot easier. Choosing a shoe with a good amount of stack height and cushion while also being light and responsive is honestly a game changer. Most of the big brand race day shoes are built this way, and I'm not gonna say one is better than the other. It really comes down to preference these days, as they are all competitively great. Number 4, position and use your supporters. If you haven't got anybody to support you, or maybe you just haven't thought that far ahead, I would extremely recommend this. I made the mistake of not utilizing my support crew and ended up bonking pretty hard. Make a game plan with your support crew, find out where and when they can meet you with some fueling and hydration so that you can keep on top of your intake. Also, the motivation of seeing somebody supporting you keeps you charged up and motivated until the next time you see them. It's funny, you might have 5Ks until you see them, and those 5Ks, it's all you think about, and it keeps you going. Also, you can organize for one of them to take a cheeky pic of you for the Insta upload. Number 5, and I can probably say this is the biggest mistake that I made on race day, set smart goals. So to make a long story short, I signed up for the full marathon only 4 weeks after my first ever half marathon. Being on runner's high, I signed up and thought, how different can a marathon be to a half marathon? And I was obviously very, very, very wrong. Having only run the half marathon distance in my prep, because I was only preparing for a half marathon, I was severely underprepared for the marathon distance. I tried to run the same pace in which I ran the half marathon, which would result in a sub 3 hour time. Because I went out way too hard, I overcooked it and ended up bonking at 30Ks, died in the ass, and it was an absolute struggle for the final 12Ks. I got cramps, overall fatigue, and my pace ended up slowing big time. So the reason I say set smart goals is I was extremely unrealistic with the pace that I set out to run. I clearly wasn't ready to run that pace. I hadn't done the hard yards. I hadn't even done a run longer than a half marathon distance. So use your training to see where your fitness is at so that you can set a smart goal based off your ability, not based off your dream race. A few workouts that you can do to find your marathon pace. If you can get through these at goal marathon pace, then that's generally a good idea of what you should be able to hit on race day, give or take. So you've got 2x5K, 2x10K, 3x5K, a lot of workouts along those lines, and long run marathon pace specific workouts as well. Don't make the same mistake I did and actually do your training. So that's just a few things that I wish that I didn't do, or I wish that I did better for my first marathon. So hopefully you took something away from this and you don't have the same race that I did. With my next marathon coming up in just a week, it was really fun to actually reflect on my first marathon. This time I'm 1000% more prepared and I'm so excited. It's gonna be such a beautiful day. All right guys, I'll leave it at that. If you enjoyed this video or it helped you out in any way, make sure you like it and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Share it with your friends and I'll see you in next week's video. Peace.